So here we are again at another ANTOR podcast, celebrating 70 years of the association's life, which is exciting, and also looking to help promote the travel and tourism industry for future careers or as a career. There's a lot of young people coming out of university at the moment with a diverse variety of degrees that could be totally adapted to our industry. And there's also people who are in our industry who have learned lots of different skill sets and finding that they can be transferable as well as developed. So I'm here today talking to Tolene from the Malta Tourism Authority in the UK, and she's the new director. Hi Tolene, how are you?
Hi Alison, good, how are you?
Good, thank you. And talking of careers, I was just wondering how you actually ended up where you are today.
Yeah, so I grew up in a very small town in South Africa, and I'd actually wanted to go into conservation, living on the farm and everything. But somehow a position became available for studying at one of the colleges in tourism, and my mom just put me in there, and I kind of fell into tourism, and I studied that for a year, and then I went up to Cape Town and looked for a job because I just always wanted to live in Cape Town. And yeah, so I just kind of fell into it, which was amazing. It wasn't something back then. This is 26 years ago. So it wasn't something back then that was huge in South Africa. It obviously is now, and tourism is a subject in the curriculum in the schools back home. But I'm so pleased because it has taught me so much. It's allowed me to experience so much. The people in the travel industry are just so incredible, and we've experienced people outside the industry have come into the industry and just said, you guys are amazing and crazy and fun, but you work so hard. So I'm really pleased that I managed to get in there. And now I've worked in tour operating, and I've worked in hotel marketing management, and I've worked in sales, everything. So it's one of the wider regions of any industry that you can go into absolutely any side of it if you've been in travel.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, we all do have fun, whether we're working hard or not. It's an amazing industry to be in, and what better thing to do than talk about and actually travel and also talk about it and promote destinations, which is interesting because you did work for your own tourism authority at one stage, and now you're working for Malta. So how does that compare? It's two different I love both, by the way. I've been to both, and I think and in fact I'm off to Cape Town in a week and a half's time, so and Malta at the end of the year for a conference, so I'm looking forward very much. But how's that comparing the two roles?
Well, I mean, people do ask me, explain, because I'm a South African living in the UK, working for the Malta Tourism Board, which, but no, so obviously having worked for the South African Tourism Board, which was a 5-year contract, selling long haul, working with long haul, and promoting a destination that is a bucket list destination was, with its own challenges, was a great learning experience. And the African travel industry is just so phenomenal and work so closely together. Even if you are South Africa or Namibia or Kenya, as tourist boards, as promoters, etc., everybody just works together for the good of the continent. And then I just came across to the Malta Tourism Authority, so two and a half years ago, and just before COVID. So that's been a great learning experience. And it was really interesting going from long haul to short haul, because things are done differently. But being able to bring my long haul experience and that bucket list type of destination experience across, along with its own history and culture, to a destination that has got such deep history. I mean, 7,000 years of history, which is eye-opening when you actually go to the different temples and see what the islands and the citizens have been through over so many years, and only even just over the last 70, 80 years. it was easy to transfer my skills from a long haul to a short haul, in the fact that working for a tourist board, irrespective of not being from the destination, it's so easy to fall in love with the destination, and literally fell in love with Malta at first sight. It's unbelievable, and I keep exploring new things and being able to share new things. It's like my other home, really. So yeah, it's been 2.5 amazing years despite COVID, and hopefully many more. So it's been good fun.
Yeah, and I the European market is not all working together for the good of the continent. It's very, very competitive. So that must be a bit of a eye opener, because every destination is competing with each other, because it's short haul. That's the way it works, isn't it? But I do envy you. I think Malta is a stunning, as you say, it's a stunning destination. So much history, so beautiful, so stunningly beautiful, and dramatically different. The main island to Gozo, for instance, dramatically different. So now you joined the board, very kindly joined the board of ANTOR, which everybody appreciates, the membership and the secretariat, because at the end of the day, without the board we wouldn't be able to survive, and it's a board of volunteers, so we really do appreciate everybody's time and energy. And so from your experience as a member of ANTOR and as a board member, what do you see as benefits of ANTOR membership?
So it's the ability for us to connect with industry leaders, to be able to gain further understanding of the various different media, trade, to be able to connect with the consumers as well, with everything that ANTOR actually puts together for members. I think it's such a valuable membership to have, especially from the Malta Tourism Authority, from Malta as a destination. And it also then naturally allows us to share everything that Malta can offer. So ANTOR has got so many different platforms, and the events and things that ANTOR puts together are well attended and subscribed to. So that benefits us in every way possible. And again, also coming from a different sector, it allows me to work with the short haul tourist boards and meet up with them and get to know them as well. So it's just working along with my peers and the team, and for us to be able to feed off each other.
Yeah, that's great, and that is what a lot of members feel. It's the community of ANTOR and the family of ANTOR. When I say Europe's very competitive, of course they are when they're out there in the market. But when they're actually within the ANTOR family, they do work very, very closely together, which is lovely. So how's Malta recovering from COVID? What are the restrictions at the moment? Are they all
pretty much all lifted? Restaurants and clubs and everything are open. Mask wearing is not so strict anymore. The entry requirements are still, fully vaccinated people. We still have our red, dark red, and travel list. So if you're fully vaccinated with now a WHO approved as opposed to EMA approved vaccine, then most vaccines are now accepted. So you can travel freely as you need to. Still need the digital PLR or PLF, and I think it's coming back stronger. If we look at the hotels are seeing an increase, not only from the UK and Ireland, but from Germany, France, from our various markets, and we're just seeing from the trade on this side that Malta has done fairly well for them in the first quarter. So we are positive going forward. We are pushing the destination. It's not obviously only Malta. You mentioned Gozo earlier. Gozo is such a phenomenal little island, literally 20 minutes away by ferry, which costs next to nothing. And it's where people go for, despite how small it is, space and adventure and beautiful open air. And it's just such an incredible little place. Got these lovely farmhouses that you can rent out if you're not wanting to stay in a hotel. And from a hard or soft adventure point of view, phenomenal. And food, I mean, you know, we've got 5 Michelin star restaurants. So we've kept everything going. During the pandemic, we put a lot of effort into retraining people in the industry. So the government, not MTA specifically, but the government and the ministry funded courses for anybody within the tourism industry in Malta to apply. And, you know, to learn, even if they were waiters in a restaurant, to learn marketing and do a marketing course, so to help further their career development and progression, which I thought was just amazing. Easy enough to do for a small destination. And the bounce back's good. I think there's a positive feeling, and I really believe that this will be a decent year, close enough to 2019, but we won't be breaking 2019 numbers, which was a phenomenal year for us. But yeah, I'm feeling fairly positive about 2022.
Yeah, the challenge for the industry is that 2019 was the best year ever worldwide for tourism. So we're comparing ourselves with a complete shutdown to the best year ever for every single destination in the world. So I think we're giving ourselves, as usual, a challenge, but everyone rises to that challenge, and I'm sure we'll be there by the time we get to the end of 2023. My nephew actually moved out to Malta a couple of years ago. In fact, my godson, not my nephew. And the one thing I have to say during the lockdown periods, globally, was that there's a big difference between a country that's got a nice year-round sunny climate.
Yes, totally.
and that one has a few months a year to enjoy. So very jealous of the pictures of him out there in Malta in the sunshine. And the climate is beautiful, isn't it? It's lovely.
Yeah, it's perfect for year-round travel. You know, when I do speak to team members in head office and they're all wrapped up cold and they say, it's 13 degrees. I'm like, that's summer. We have amazing weather throughout the year. Winter sun's perfect. And, it's a short trip. It's 3 hours from the UK, and we've got flights from regional and obviously London. We've also just a flight connection now from Shannon in Ireland, which is great. So you've got Dublin and Shannon. The Shannon one is kicking off on the 27th of March. So I'm hosting a launch flight there, which is exciting. So yeah, I mean, I think what lockdown and COVID actually did for us was take a step back and look at everything that Malta can offer, which is not only the culture, the sun and the history, but we've got a lot of sustainability coming in, a lot of farm to table restaurants, and always, I'm always trying to find something completely different that we can talk about. And there is, every single time I ask, there's something else that's popped up. So being very innovative during lockdown, and worked hard. And as you say, we as a tourism industry are comparing ourselves to the best year ever of 2019. But as a tourism industry, we will never sit back. I've noticed how quickly we adjust to whatever's thrown in our path. And it's been really interesting to watch people think quickly in the tourism industry, whereas some other industries are still sitting and wondering what to do.
Yeah.
We are very forward thinking as an industry, which is why it's so phenomenal to be involved in it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I remember I don't know if it's still there, but there was a little float plane that went from the mainland of Malta to Gozo. I don't know if that's still exists.
No,
it'd be good to get it going again, because it was an amazing experience, even if you just did it in one direction.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And my son learned to dive in Malta, and the scuba diving and the snorkeling as well is phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can go for your PADI license in Malta from the age of 10.
That's right. He was 11.
Oh, yeah. So I'm counting down the days until my son's 10.
Yeah.
But yes, diving is just incredible. We've got some beautiful shipwrecks. There's a lot of technical dives, and some, well, I say beautiful shipwrecks, but they are just incredible to experience. And then we've got these phenomenal caves and things that people can go into. So something very different to going to dive the coral reefs or, the Great Barrier Reef or anything like that. It's very, very different and very unique. And we keep finding new dive sites. There's always something new coming out. And Heritage Malta, which runs obviously all the historical sites around all 3 islands, actually has an underwater virtual experience of all the dives. So if someone is interested in diving and hasn't been there before, there's a way to experience it before you go. So yeah. So
is that on your website as well?
It is on the website, but also if you search for Heritage Malta, they've got all the information and everything there.
Fantastic. And of course, we haven't really mentioned the people, but the people of Malta are just genuinely lovely, lovely people. They're very gentle, they're very friendly. It's kind of that lovely Mediterranean, Italian kind of mixture with a bit of British thrown in for good luck. And I think it's a beautiful combination. And but the people of every country make their destination, don't they? So every country's culture and people make it. Good.
So yeah, just like on that, we've got obviously the affiliation with the UK with British, and this year is the 80th anniversary of the awarding of the St. George Cross to Malta, which is something that's kicking off in April. So that is something for us, as you know, on our flag, we've got the cross. Not only it's the Maltese cross, but it obviously has the St. George Cross behind it as well. And then the 80th anniversary of Operation Pedestal, which was the warship that came to kind of basically save the Maltese from starvation 80 years ago. So there's a lot of that, and the Queen's residence when she was there as a princess, when she married the late Duke. So yeah, there's so much history there, and there's such a love from Her Majesty for Malta that it's quite a special relationship between Malta and the UK. We still have some of the red telephone boxes and all that kind of stuff hanging around. So there's a lot of British influence, which is lovely. All speak English really well, driving same side of the road. So it's just being with amazing weather as well.
So with all that in mind, what are your plans for the next few years moving forward from a tourism promotion point of view?
So we actually have launched the new National Tourism Strategy, was launched last year. So the previous one came to an end. So we got the 2021 to 2030, very far in advance. So actually it's just around the corner, to be thinking. But it's based on the strategies entitled Recover, Rethink, and Revitalize. So given what we've been through the last 2 years, sustainable travel, 2030, obviously the whole responsible tourism is the core of what we are looking to do. Generally, historically, we've tried to change the perception of Malta from being a destination for only the older people to go for long periods of time to the younger market, etc. What we're doing now is looking at taking away the push towards mass market and looking at longer stays, luxury travel, so that people are instead of staying the usual 3-4 nights, they're staying, and they can stay 7 nights up to 2 weeks, but there is so much to do. So from a sustainable point of view, looking at that. So I think sustainability is on everyone's mind at the moment, and we have taken the pandemic and taken a step back to relook at how we're going forward. Every single day, new sustainable options are popping up. People are rethinking how they are putting themselves out towards travelers. So we will continue to push Malta as a destination for year-round sun, because that's what we are. We've got, like I say, such beautiful history and culture, and it's also ideal for families to travel. We're not really a fly and flop destination, but I think people are wanting to learn a bit more about where they may or may not have come from, and the history of the world, which is so interesting. So the key thing is to develop stronger, more sustainable and competitive industry by 2030. Fantastic.
And of course, there is the working remotely aspect of life that everybody has. We sit here, both of us in our remote offices, logged into and very much embraced. And I can't think of anywhere better than to spend 6 months perhaps working in Malta remotely. Is that something that is a possibility as well?
That is something that's a possibility. They actually have a visa program for that, so that you can go and work. It's a nomad visa program that you can go and stay and work remotely in Malta. We've got great technology. Everything's there, and then you can clock off at 5 or 5:15 and head over and go and do some hikes on Gozo or along the trails and things. So the quality of life that you would have in the sunshine and the very vital vitamin D that you need would be phenomenal. So yeah, most definitely welcomed remote working there, along with the visa program if it needs to be longer than the 3-month stay.
And I mentioned earlier that I'm coming to Malta in October, I think it is, for a conference.
Yeah.
And of course, that's the MICE market, and talking about recovering and rethinking and revitalizing. That's a market that is slowly recovering and revisiting itself. But if you don't have sustainable credentials as a destination, MICE buyers are just not considering you anymore. That's become an absolute agenda item for them. Which is a positive thing that's come out of COVID, because they've had the time to rethink their in the way that they're working forward. So that's going to be a whole new game changer.
It will be.
Introducing that aspect, the wellness aspect and the sustainable aspects of the MICE industry.
I think, I find it great, and I think it's great that the MICE industry is pushing that, because yet there will be a lot of data saying people are thinking before they travel, that they will only stay in sustainable hotels and sustainable destinations, but it does generally come down to price. Whereas the MICE market, they can make that decision, they can push it, and that will push destinations, because MICE is so vital for destinations, MICE is so vital for Malta. And yes, we are definitely seeing the requirement for those credentials coming out. So I'm pleased that the MICE market's pushing that, definitely.
Yeah, and just for any listeners that are listening that aren't from the travel and tourism industry, MICE is not a pet show. MICE is the Meetings Incentive Conference and Exhibitions industry, which if I think you're from another world than our world, people will be going, what are they talking about? But MICE, you take a place to Malta? So I just wanted to clarify that just in case. And in fact, on that note, ANTOR is participating in a MICE event on the 6th of April. So if there are MICE buyers listening to this, please check out the ANTOR events on their website. And for the consumer, if any consumers are listening in today to our podcast, which goes out through all social media, we're participating in a consumer fair called Back to Travel, and that's on the 27th of April. So we hope to see everybody there. Both are virtual, so there's no need to clock off any carbon footprints on it. You can just log in and enjoy the company of our ANTOR members. So Tolene, unless you have anything else you want to discuss today that we haven't covered.
No, I think we've covered it all, and thank you to ANTOR for these podcasts, which are so vital and so informative to everybody. And we hope to see our trade and our consumers at the various events that ANTOR is holding. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.